Hi, Gavanin. Welcome back to my channel. Tonight, I am going to be opening a Rivendell helmet. So I am so excited to do this. I already took it out of the box, so it'd be easier. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. This is actually something that I got a while ago, but I was waiting for a particular time to open it with you and to do a review. So this is the wonderful box, good keepsake, and it says on the back here, though his home was a sanctuary dedicated to the dream of peace and the sharing of knowledge, Lord Elrond nevertheless garnished the elf haven of Rivendell with keen warriors. Many were the enemies of the free folk of Middle-earth, built into a hidden valley and warded with elvish magic. Rivendell sat nonetheless upon the doorstep of the misty mountains, near troll-infested wilderness, and beneath the shadow of Angmar in the north. Immortal beings, elves had countless years to devote to the mastery of lore, craft, or swordsplay. Though Elrond's men at arms stood like serene sentinels at the entrances to the last homely house, they were swift-limbed and deadly soldiers, sometimes ranging the borders of the realm with their lord on horseback. Long cloaks and shining armor they had, with tall crested helms, fashioned after those worn by the elven king Gil-galad's army of the Second Age. Delicate floral patterns wove themselves around the bowl of the helm and up to meet on the bladed crest, while upon the nose guard they bore the signal of Lord Elrond, a dome of stars. So this is from the Weta Workshop, and Weta is responsible for making all the miniatures that you see in the Lord of the Rings movies by Peter Jackson. So this is the original place. There's another little book here. Let's see if there's anything really interesting. Oh yeah, gives you more of the history and also some of the other helmets that we saw. I would like to collect the Mirkwood ones and also the Lorien one. That would be wonderful to have. But we'll see. They kind of are hard to find because they're sold out on Weta Workshop's website. So I found them on eBay. But throughout the years, if you just kind of take a look and see if they're there, maybe you can get lucky and find one on a good deal like I did. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Uh-oh, I have another tape here. Did I bring a scissors? Yes, I did. Okay. Very well packaged. Yeah, so I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday. Their Trula Halme and Yule and Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and all the other celebrations that happen towards the end of the year. How are you all? My Gavanin. For those of you who are new to my channel, my Gavanin is the official greeting of the elves, so I like to use it. It's just a nice way of saying well met in the modern Tolkien Elvish of Sindarin. So this is the miniature. This is cute. It's very small, but it's great if you just want to collect a couple of them. Oh, is that beautiful? Wow, my favorite. Gold and silver mixed together. Lovely, lovely. So yes, you can see the details on this. Oh, is that gorgeous? Oh, I'm going to love this on my shelf. Yeah, I always wanted the helmet as a collector's item because, I don't know, it just symbolizes strong warrior. And I wanted to have something like that in my home. I have the White Council of the Weta Workshop, and I have a video where I am opening it up. So you can take a look at my channel and find it there. It comes with a stand, and it just kind of sits like this. There's really no other way to put it. It just kind of balances precariously like this. But what a wonderful little collector's item. It says Rivendell's Guard Helm, and it's signed, and it's 429 of only 750 that they made. And this is the Rivendell sculpture. But yeah, the detail is excellent. And it's really beautiful to see. Very shiny. It actually reminds me of the elvish metal, mithril, which is said to be, it's a fantasy metal that Tolkien wrote about, where the dwarves were mining for it, and that's actually why the Balrog, the fire demon, awoke. So it's kind of that tale, that moral tale about, you know, digging too far for something and trying to get the gold, and making your life all about money can also bring great consequences. And that was the Balrog that they woke. But mithril is a type of metal that resembles silver, but it's actually stronger than steel, but it's lighter as well. So it's what all of the elven armor is made of, and their weapons too. And they also glow blue usually, because there is a particular type of, I wrote it down here, I want to get it right. There's a particular type of blue gem that they used in all of their weapons. And this was to notify them about the orcs, basically, and any of the darker energies that were around. So I'm finding it for you here, where I wrote it down so I would not forget. And if you want to know a little bit more about the technology in Tolkien's stories, then you can go to my Tolkien's Elven Realms and Cities, the archaeology, because that gives you some of the technology. But I wrote it down here that the Noldar elves used in the first ages something called the Fëanorian lamps. And the lanterns of the Noldar lamps contain a fine network of crystals, each of which shone with a brilliant blue light of its own. And it also was seen in Sting and some of the other elven weapons that glowed the blue light when the orcs were around or any kind of dark energy was around. So the crystals were part of the technology that they infused through their craftsmanship of creating these weapons. So even though Lord of the Rings looks like it's kind of old-fashioned, or it's something from the ancient times, there's a bit of advanced technology that we don't even have on Earth here. So it's interesting to learn more about Middle-earth's technology, and I did find a lot, and that's where you can find it in my video about the Elven Realms and Cities. So they used it also in their armor and in their weapons. Well, it's interesting about the warriors, because I'll say this, in the movies, they're a little depicted differently than in the books. The Gladrium, which are the Lorien elves, they are the ones with the gold helmet in the movies. They were too few in numbers to actually help in the books. They really didn't help the humans and the dwarves and the hobbits fight against the dark armies, because there were too few of them. But Galadriel did give that vial of light, so she did put some effort into helping them win this war. But there were too few of them to actually go to war. But the elves of Rivendell did help. Elrond sent his sons actually to help, and I have the part here. And this is the passing of the Grey Company. So this is in the third book, in The Return of the King, and it says this: "The night was old and the east gray when they rode up at last from Deeping Combe and came back to the Hornburg. There they were to lie and rest for a brief while and take counsel. Merry slept until he was roused by Legolas and Gimli. 'The sun is high,' said Legolas. 'All others are up and doing. Come, Master Sluggard, and look at this place while you may.' 'There was a battle here 3 nights ago,' said Gimli, 'and here Legolas and I played a game that I won only by a single orc. Come and see how it was. And there are caves, Merry, caves of wonder. Shall we visit them, Legolas, do you think?' 'Nay, there is no time,' said the elf. 'Do not spoil the wonder with haste. I have given you my word to return hither with you, if a day of peace and freedom comes again. But it is now near to noon, and at that hour we eat, and then set out again, I hear.' Merry got up and yawned. His few hours' sleep had not been nearly enough. He was tired and rather dismal. And he missed Pippin and felt that he was only a burden while everybody was making plans for speed in a business that he did not fully understand. Where is Aragorn? He said. And he says, in a high chamber of the burg, said Legolas. He has neither rested nor sleep, I think. He went thither some hours ago, saying that he must take thought, and only his kinsman, Halbard, went with him, but some dark doubt or care sits on him. They are a strange company, these newcomers, said Gimli. Stout men and lordly they are, and the riders of Rohan look almost as boys beside them, for they are grim men of face, worn like weathered rocks for the most part, even as Aragorn himself, and they are silent. But even as Aragorn, they are courteous, if they break their silence, said Legolas. And have you marked the brethren, Elladan and Elrohir? Less somber is their gear than the others, and they are fair and gallant as elven lords, and that is not to be wondered at in the sons of Elrond of Rivendell. So there is a help that comes from the word of Elrond, and Elrond does send some of the warriors, the Rivendell warriors, to help them. But you can learn more about it by actually reading the book. But the movie does a nice job of bringing all the elves and all the men together, but in the book it's not so much like that. There is a part in his letters where he explains, because here's why I think that Tolkien did not include his elves, his elven warriors, so much in the war. This is why, is because Tolkien's own thoughts about the war was that it was immoral, that all wars are actually unethical. So this is what he said in June 3rd, 1945. Even though Tolkien himself was a soldier of war, he did fight in the battles, but he, in the Civil War, World War II, and he said this from a letter to Christopher, his son. There is a stand-down parade of civil defense in the parks in the afternoon, to which I shall probably have to drag myself to, but I am afraid it all seems rather a mockery to me, for the war is not over, and the one that is, or the part of it, has largely been lost. But it is, of course, wrong to fall into such a mood, for wars are always lost, and the war always goes on, and it is no good growing faint. And then August 9th, he writes again, 1945, the news today about atomic bombs is so horrifying, one is stunned. The utter folly of these lunatic physicists to consent to do such work for war purposes, calmly plotting the destruction of the world. Such explosives in men's hands, while their moral and intellectual status is declining, is about as useful as giving out firearms to all inmates of a gaol, and then saying that you hope this will ensure peace. But one good thing may arise out of it, I suppose. If the write-ups are not overheated, Japan ought to cave in. Well, we're in God's hands, but he does not look kindly on Babel builders. So he truly just despised war. He dragged himself to it. It said like he was a soldier, he did his duty, but through the process of war, and what you see in his story is that he believed that ultimately wars are really never fully won, that we must find ways in the future for Earth to basically settle our disagreements, to come to some resolution beyond physical war. And so that is a higher perspective of Tolkien, that he did not like war at all. And so it's kind of reflected in his elves, where his elves kind of stood back and they basically helped when they could, but they were also not so much involved as in the movies. So I thought that was really interesting to see. Let's see what this says here on the back, because this is Elven Warriors of the Second Age. Okay, so this is where we get some information here. Elven Warriors of the Second Age. In the prologue sequence that opened the Fellowship of the Ring, audiences witnessed the last alliance of elves and men lay siege to Mordor, and thanks to Prince Isildur, defeat Sauron and his forces. The Elven Warriors in the scene wore distinctive gold and green armor with Grecian-inspired helms, sporting tall, bladed crests. The surfaces of the helms were richly embellished with sculptural relief, energetic flowing Art Nouveau lines based on plant forms. Weta Workshop designer Warren Mayhay originally conceived the crisscrossed hybrid lamellar armor for the Third Age elves of Lorien. But when another design was chosen for that army, Mayhay's concept was instantly repurposed to represent an earlier elven civilization. Concept artist John Howe designed the helmet independently, but director Sir Peter Jackson requested the two be brought together. Both armor and helmet were portrayed at Weta Workshop and put into production in a very short time frame so as to be ready in time for the ambitious shoot. Fortunately, the company's armors and specialty costume makers were well practiced, having honed their skills and processes on most of the trilogy's other armies before turning their attention to these elves relatively late in the schedule. Consequently, the finished costumes were among the quickest to make the most comfortable and practical to wear. The Elven Warriors of the Third Age. Returning to make the Hobbit film trilogy a decade later, Jackson tasked Weta's designers with the creation of new elven armies, including the force of guardsmen garnished in Rivendell, the home of Lord Elrond. Elrond had appeared in the last Alliance battle scene as a herald of Elf King Gil-galad. Gil-galad had perished during the conflict, but Elrond lived on, taking responsibility for their people. The elves living in Rivendell in the Third Age would be very likely have included many who survived that battle. Weta Workshop designer Daniel Falconer therefore suggests that it would be appropriate for Rivendell's warriors in an unexpected journey to share common armor components, but an acknowledgement of the many centuries of time that lay between the scenes. The new version of this armor would be colored silver and copper instead of green and gold, and include a number of key differences in details. To create a new miniature helm replica with the greatest possible fidelity to the original, Weta Workshop model makers did the exact same thing, retrieving the prototype, the miniature scale helmet replica sculpted by Sean Bolton, which was released as a collectible in 2001. So this was released in 2001, making the very same modifications as were done to the full-size prop. They created a new Rivendell Guards helm for the relaunched mini helmet line. So there you have it. And there's some other information here. As you can see, it says this. So yeah, it's a nice piece to have. I would absolutely love to have some elven weaponry and some swords. So we'll see how my collection grows, but this is great for now. So very interesting ideas. If you want to learn more about Tolkien's thoughts on war, because there is a lot in the Letters of Tolkien, which gives you a lot of his thoughts on war because he was writing these letters to his son during the war. So it's a very interesting read. I highly recommend it. If you also want to learn a little bit more about warriors too, you can go into the Children of Huron, where it talks about the fall of Gondolin, and that was a hidden elven realm. And that will kind of tell you a little bit more about the types of elven warriors and in the first ages, second ages. So this is a very ancient civilization of the elves. But it is true, the elves do move like Legolas in the film. They're lighter than humans, they're quicker on their feet, and their weaponry skills are more advanced than humans. So they are a dead shot with the arrow, and they can hit any target with their double-handed swords. A lot of them use double-handed swords or bows, and that was kind of their elven weaponry. So you can learn a little bit more about that on Tolkien Gateway's website with all their kind of the Elven Warrior weapons, because there's a whole list of them, and it's really fun to read. But yeah, I thought that would be fun to just kind of go through a little bit and show you what it looks like. I really love how shiny this is. This is going to look great on the shelf there. Soldier of Vanity. There is a surrealist who dresses in half a German and half a French military outfit. Oh, that would be interesting to see. You'll buy me an elvish sword? Oh, well, Han and Lei, but don't worry about it. I'm sure I'll find one on eBay sometime. I'm very good at bidding. My bidding wars, my bidding war skills are pretty good. But thank you. That's really sweet of you. Peachy fruit, very beautiful, showing the elegance yet the ferociousness of the elves. Yeah, it's really that mix between, you know, they're not afraid to wear flowers, even the men elves. I love that. You know, this is the Art Nouveau curvature and the floral plants, and there's a star right there. So you have the star, and then you have, well, you have the dome of the stars, actually. You have the 7 stars, and then you have the nice Art Nouveau swirls here. So yeah, it's really beautiful to see that. And yeah, because that's because of the 7 brothers of the Noldar elves. There were 7 of them. So that's why the elves then use the 7 stars. Also, Gondor uses the 7 stars too, because of there's a part in here which talked about it more. I think I lost the page. It was about how the Gondor crown itself is a replica of the ones that the kings from over the sea used to wear. So they were in Numenor, and they were the ones that kind of mingled with the old elves. The elves also were in Numenor, teaching them, spreading the Elven Light. That's what Tolkien called it, the Elven Light. So they were teaching them the crafts of making advanced weapons, and basically teaching them advanced technology and elvish magic. And that's the line where Aragorn comes down from. So Aragorn's bloodline actually has the elven bloodline, the elven magic, you know, within it, because of Numenor's connection, and then the Gondor connection. So that's why his helmet, or not his helmet, but his crown, actually looks like the ones from Numenor, and it's very similar to the sea elves of old as well that went off into Valinor. So it's a really interesting type of correlation there between each other, and you see how connected they all really are. But yeah, I think it's a great little collection to have. I saw somebody have like all of the helmets, which is a really nice collection to have on your shelf. I don't know if I'm going to ever have all of the helmets, but I think I want the Lorien helmet. So I'll have the Rivendell and the Lorien helmet, and then I'll be set. Yeah, the stars are an intriguing aspect of it. I know, I like how it's very, very small though, Siren. So even the detail, yeah, it's really hard to see, but there's a tiny, I don't know if you can see it. There's a very tiny star at the top, right there at the brow, kind of like Erendiel with the Silmaril. And I think that's what it's symbolizing, is that star on Erendiel's brow. So yeah, it's a really nice little statue, little sculpture. I'll go back. I think you guys were talking here. So what's Weta? Hopefully you know Norrin now. It's definitely the workshop that worked on basically all of the movies, and they were responsible for making a lot of the sculptures that you see in the movies, and also the miniature version of the White Council, because this was not real. It was all done by making miniatures and then using CGI effects. So that's where the White Council came from, and so that's where you get all of the kind of the movie replicas, basically, Weta is putting out. So you can find it on their Weta webshop, the Weta Workshop website. You can find all of that. So I'm happy everybody seemed to have a good Christmas and good holiday, and Yule, Kwanzaa, all those different holidays that you share with your loved ones towards the end of the year. We are definitely reaching the end of the year, going into 21. So happy. So I will have another video that I will be uploading on New Year's Eve for you, so you can check that out. So I'll just take a couple days and just kind of relax a little bit, let you all relax and have fun, and then stop by again for New Year's Day for a special upload to kind of honor the old age, the old year, and bring in the new year. And the reason why this is kind of a special end of the year is because to many people, it symbolizes kind of the start of what we see as the age of Aquarius. We have, in 2012, we have opened up kind of the gateway into age of Aquarius, and we were starting to see the shift. But to astronomers, because of the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, and to I guess just the collective in the spiritual community, we are starting to see that we are entering into this golden age of man. So this is going to be really interesting to see. And hopefully we will be entering into the phase of transitioning into a world where we could have the type of technology that the elves had. But to remember, some of the cautions that Tolkien left with us is that we never really progress with war. And so if we can be wiser to avoid it and find ways of compromise and dialogue and peace between each other and our nations, then it will be better for the human race. It will be better for the species. So that's really his opinion, and I definitely agree with that. But I think that we can use a lot of the technology of the elves, and I think that we can apply it into the new world. And it's going to be really exciting to see. I think that we're already heading that way too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I am going to honor the old age and help bring in the new one with you all. So definitely stop by again to see me. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your night wherever you are. So thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to see if there's any other questions or anything. I know you guys were chatting. Amberthus, yay, New Year's chat. I paused Carnival Row after bringing it all day just to watch this live. Thank you. Always look forward to what you have to say. Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I decided I'm going to do just a regular video for New Year's, so it won't be a live one. So you'll just come in and just kind of see it whenever you get a chance. So it won't be live, but I do hope that everybody gets a chance to celebrate, even though a lot of places you might not be able to go to, but hopefully you can still have fun with your friends and family, and even just alone, just have a good time, but definitely stop by my channel, and I'll have another video for you to celebrate with you, and in spirit, I will be with you. And say goodbye to this wonderful Rivendell helmet. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Namaste.